Welcome back to the channel, guys, and today we're going to talk about something that I've had so many messages about, and that is the deep screw shot. So the deep screw shot. Now I know everyone's probably seen the likes of Judd Trump when he's playing huge screw shots, getting so much action on the white, loads and loads of spin, loads of cue power, and he plays the shots so well and it's good to watch. So I'm sure you guys want to know exactly how he does it, and today we're just going to go through a few things that's going to help you produce that deep screw shot. So a few points we're going to have to look at is, first one is obviously exactly where we're striking on the cue ball. We're going to look at bridge distance from the cue ball and something that we call timing. So timing, I'm going to try and explain it the best I can, and by the end of it hopefully you'll have understood what I'm saying, and I'm sure you have experienced timing at some point, but hopefully with these little tips then you'll be able to go away and practice it and obviously play those deep screw shots. So let's start. So the first thing we're going to look at is, for me, bridge distance from the cue ball. Now obviously you can play a deep screw with your hand quite close to the cue ball, but for me I like to have it a little bit further back, and then our cue can come right back to our V. We've got more space to generate the speed that we need to obviously play these deep screw shots. So it is doable with a shorter bridge, but I think you're always better with a bit longer, give yourself more room, and then you can generate more power to go through and play that shot. So in terms of distance, for me, on normal shots I would be probably in this position. So I want to be keeping a vertical arm on the back, and then I would be in this position. So even when I'm playing the deep screw shot, I still want to play in this vertical position at the back. So all I'll do, I'll just bring my hand a little bit further away, and you can see I've just created a bit more distance now, so I can probably bring the tip back another inch, couple of inches, and that's just going to give me a bit more space to work with to generate that power to get through the ball and obviously connect with the brown and play that deep screw. So in terms of where we're actually going to strike on the cue ball, obviously we're going to be hitting low, but I think a common mistake that people make is that they don't aim low enough on the cue ball. You can actually aim a lot lower than you think without the risk of miscuing. Obviously, I'm sure you've done it in the past where you have played these shots and you have miscued. And the reason being, because we are aiming so low and we're trying to generate so much power, we actually move on our shot a little bit. So when we're trying to generate the power, you'll see people jump up off the shot, they move slightly, and all these little movements can cause the cue just to go a little bit lower. Inevitably you get under the cue ball and you're going to end up miscuing. So I'll try and get a little camera angle, and you can see, I'm sure you can see from that angle actually, exactly where I'm going to aim on the cue ball. So I would be in this position. If we were going to pot the brown to come back for blue, I would be in that position there. So you can see that's quite low on the cue ball, and I'm quite happy with the bridge distance. So the cue would come right back to the V, and then we would accelerate and hit the cue ball and play that nice screw shot down for the blue. So we're going to do this in stages. So obviously this isn't a deep screw, but we're going to build up to that. So first one, we're going to play brown to blue, then we'll play a pink down for the black, and then we'll try a bit more of a full length screw shot. So the next thing I want to talk about is timing. So timing, I'm going to try and explain this the best I can. It's not the easiest thing to explain, but I'm sure you've all played shots in the past where you know you've timed the ball correctly because normally you would overscrew the shot. So when we talk about timing, the best way to explain this is, imagine if we're going to play this brown and screw back for the blue, imagine that we have to strike the cue ball at 15 miles an hour with the cue coming through, and when it makes contact with the white, it's going to be at 15 miles an hour. So when we start from here, it'll go 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, then as it gets past 10, 5, and then obviously comes to a stop. So when we make contact with that cue ball, we want to be at the maximum speed that we need to play that shot. So obviously in terms of, obviously we can't measure how fast the cues comes through, we just don't have the equipment to do that, but this is all practice and repetition, so you'll know how much you need to put into certain shots. So if I need, say, 15 miles an hour, I would be here, so the cue comes back, so 5, 10, 15, then as it goes past 10, 15, and obviously 10, 5, and then slows down and comes to a stop. So you might have heard the terms decel or deceleration. So this occurs when, say, we still need 15 miles an hour, cue comes back, 5, 10, and then we make contact, and our fastest part of our swing is actually when we've gone past the ball. So we've hit, it's what they call it, a deceleration. We've got a little bit slower as we've just hit the white, and we're not going to get the same action as if we hit it at the maximum pace that we need to hit it at. So I hope that made sense. So let's just try this shot. So we're going to play brown to blue. So low on the cue ball, I've got a nice bridge distance. Cue comes all the way back to the V, pot the brown, and I'm pretty happy with that one. So we've potted a good brown to blue. Now obviously, just say our last shot was 15 miles an hour. Obviously we don't know the exact speed, but what I'm trying to get at, you'll see it slowly, it increases the more spin that we need. So if that shot was 15, obviously now we're going to need more, because we're going to play the pink, we're going to screw the ball back off the cushion and down for the black. So now say we're going to need 20 miles an hour at impact. So same position on the cue ball, so hand a nice distance away. I'm trying to keep that vertical forearm at the back. So now instead of being 15 miles an hour, we'll be 5, 10, 15, and striking at 20. If we're going to strike at 15, we've not hit it at the maximum pace we need. So we've not quite timed the ball properly, and you're not going to get the same action as if you would when we struck it at 20 miles an hour. So tip speed at impact is a huge part of playing the deep screw. It needs to be at its maximum what we need for the shot. And obviously that just comes with practice, and you'll know over time how much speed you need to apply. So obviously on this table and this cloth, it's obviously a little bit more slippy, it's a little bit more reactive. So if you're playing on the club tables, yes, it's going to be a little bit heavier. So you're probably going to have to hit these even harder than you think to get the action and the spin. So we'll try this shot. So we're going to play pink, down for black. So low on the cue ball, I'm going to keep that nice distance from the cue ball with my bridge hand. So I've got enough space to bring the cue ball, to bring the cue all the way back. So maintaining that vertical forearm at the back. Cue comes right back to the V, and that's perfect on the black. So now we've come to the big shot, the deep screw. So we're going to try and pop the pink and obviously screw the white back for the black into the corner pocket. So exactly the same principle as before, but now obviously the brown to blue is probably 15 miles an hour. Then we needed 20 for the pink to black, and say this is 25. So we need to make sure that our tip makes contact with the cue ball at 25 miles an hour, and obviously that will give us our perfect timing point. If we hit it at 20, you'll find that we're probably not going to generate enough power and spin to bring the ball back for the black. So a lot of people get a little bit confused with thinking timing means power, but it doesn't. You can time the ball really well, and you'll find that you won't need as much power to actually get the spin on the ball. Where you'll see some people who will try and hit it as hard as they can, they don't time the ball, and ultimately you don't get any backspin. So exactly the same as before. So we're going to aim as low as we can on the cue ball. So you'll be able to find a point where you think you're not going to miss cue, but this is just trial and error. Obviously when we play this shot, the most important thing is try not to move any other body parts. I know we're going to generate a bit more power, but we've got to try and keep as still as possible, especially with the head, and ultimately that will help with this shot. So exactly the same, low on the cue ball, that nice distance with the bridge, so we've got a little bit more room to get the cue right back to the V, and then accelerate, hit the white, and hopefully we'll make the screw shot. And I'm pretty happy with that, to be fair. So there we go guys, I hope that all made sense in terms of the timing. It's not an easy thing to explain, but hopefully you kind of got the gist of it and how it works. So go and give that a try. Obviously when we are playing the deep screw shots, we're going to need a little bit more power. So I think the key is obviously try and keep as still as possible, especially the head. Try and keep the head still. Try and generate the power without moving too much. Obviously it's not the power that generates the spin, it's the timing. If we can time it nicely, then you're not going to need to hit it quite as hard. So give it a go. As I mentioned, obviously if you're playing on club tables, it's going to be slightly different. You're going to have to generate some more power and more spin to get more action, because they are obviously slightly heavier. So but if there's any questions, if you want me to try and explain timing any better, I'll try my best, so do leave comments in the comment section down below. But obviously if you do like the content, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, it helps massively. Also coaching is available if you want to come and get coached by me in this room or online, we can arrange something. So do get in touch, and in the meantime enjoy the rest of the videos on my channel, and we'll be back soon for another video. So we'll see you soon.